Hi, I'm Jeremy Purple from Pile Up Program World History. Today we will be talking about the technological advancements from 600 to 1450 CE. During our time together, we will cover the great innovations and discoveries of the past and walk through their enormous benefit in helping us.
Mr. Purple, why do we have to know about this stuff? It's all outdated now. We have cell phones, fast food, energy drinks. What's the point?
Well, me from the past. The technologies of today are all because of what we made then. We've just upgraded them. The post-classical era can be easily characterized by the technological advancements that we see at this time. And you should know this because how else would you get McKing if it wasn't for the compass guiding your GPS? You have your ancestors to thank for that. Cue the intro. Anyways, there were many technological innovations and discoveries during this time period which led to military advancements, improved transportation, and scientific studies. And what better way to start this lesson off than with, wait for it, the Mongols. These bad boys were so good at conquest that they had taken more land in 25 years than the Romans did in 400. And they did this with the help of military advancements, more specifically, Chinese gunpowder and weaponry adapted from other cultures. Wow, good job, China. We don't know exactly when Chinese gunpowder was first invented, but we do know its origins come around the mid-9th century when Tao alchemists were searching for the elixir of immortality. Please tell me they didn't eat the gunpowder. As it turns out, they didn't, but the alchemists' hands and faces were burnt, and even the houses they were working in burned down. However, this marked a historic revolution in warfare, as they used it to create pyrotechnic and firework displays, and bombs as well. Not so One example, the heaven-shaking thunder crash bomb, laid waste to the enemies on the battlefield. You're telling me the Chinese had super cool weapons with awesome names like heaven-shaking thunder crash bomb, but all we have are flashbang and grenade? Why don't we call our nuclear bombs hell-shattering supernova magic bomb? Sounds much more threatening. That's besides it. The point is that this technological innovation did a ton of damage to whoever was in its path, and was 10 times more lethal than in the Mongols' hands. Not only were they good at sacking huge cities, they were also very good at theft. When the Mongols ended up getting blown up by the noted HSTC bomb, they recognized its potential power and encouraged technicians to further develop it and spread the new information to the entire Mongol Empire. This in turn led to gunpowder's usage across most of the Asian continent and a part of Europe too. While they were on their conquest of world domination, they also came across offensive and defensive weaponry, such as the Egyptians making body armor by putting small pieces of bronze across leather clothing, and the Welsh longbow, which is an adaptation of the composite bow invented hundreds of years earlier. This bow was used by the English. It was longer than the composite bow, which contributed to it being crazy powerful and accurate. It was so good that historians believe it was the reason the English beat the French at Agincourt in 1415. Ooh, what is this mystery document for today? Yes, thank you, Stan. Let's see. Ooh, I know this one. This is a Mongol archer with a composite bow, which is made from wood, glue, horn, and sinew. They used this when they were conquering almost all of the inhabited parts of Asia. It was carved by Mongol artists and is a carving into a rock, or maybe clay, so that their enemies can see who they are and will fear the Mongol army. Thank you, Stan. This moves us on to transportation. By now, the Mongols ruled most of Eurasia. Trade and commerce flourished at this point, with the Silk Road being at an all-time high. Previously, there was a very high chance of being robbed or stranded, but the Mongols, in their infinite wisdom, began to establish their rule across the Asian continent, and since nobody wanted to fight the Mongols, trade suddenly became safe and easy to facilitate. This brings us to our thought bubble. Back before the Mongols took over, trade was mostly done through land and sea, with caravans making the trip through the Sahara Desert, Chinese junk ships moving down the Straits of Malacca, and most importantly, the Silk Road facilitating the trade between China and Europe. Yet this trade was unsafe, with the eastern end of the Silk Road being plagued with nomads, like the Mongols, and the western end dealing with the clash between Islam and Christianity. When the Mongols eventually took over this stretch of land, people believed that they would loot the entire thing like they'd previously done. Surprisingly, they didn't. The Mongols protected the trade routes and provided very generous incentives to those willing to trade, and to make sure the merchants traveled safe, he gave them the first known form of passports, which made sure that they traveled safely across the Silk Road, since not many robbers wanted to have the Mongols coming after them. Thank you, Thought Bubble. And to help travelers find their way, there was this wonderful new invention, the compass. No one is sure exactly when the compass was invented and by who, but it was most likely the Chinese around the 11th or 12th century. This extremely useful discovery allowed merchants to easily navigate across the Sahara Desert, and this allowed for new, more efficient trade routes. It also opened maritime trade routes, and Islamic merchants started to make maps that guided you via compass. To accompany the invention of the compass, the Islamic Empire developed the idea of longitude and latitude. This wasn't the only thing either. Islam was in the middle of a golden age. There were great leaps in the fields of astronomy, math, medicine, and geography, all of which was fueled by paper. The first book on algebra was written by, and I know I'm going to butcher this, Al-Khwarizm. Omar Khayyam accurately mapped the solar year, and Ibn Khaldun, considered the greatest Arab historian, identified trends in world history. Because of all this knowledge, navigation, architecture, keeping track of dates, inventions of new technologies, accounting, and many, many, many more things became that much easier. And so, as we've seen, the great inventions of the post-classical civilizations are pretty simple. Yet at the time, these groundbreaking discoveries were hugely impactful. They allowed for new ideas and materials to be brought throughout Afro-Eurasia via the Mongol conquests, and the merchants that traveled with the new inventions like the boats and compasses. All in all, this time was hugely impactful. Thanks for watching Pile Up Program.
Hi there. Pilot Program was edited by me, Cooper Adair. It was also acted by Catherine. And the script was mainly edited by Ethan, so good job to the team. The credits should be rolling somewhere around me. I have no clue yet because I have to edit this as I'm editing this, so it's awesome. I'd like to thank this non-sponsored energy drink for keeping me awake the entire time, and also Miss Gibbon, if you haven't realized already, this is just to extend it past the 7-minute point. So, thanks for watching.